So we're today talking about body dysmorphic disorder again, and a question that we had thought of yesterday that I think that we should address today is what can cause BDD? What are some psychological or environmental or genetic factors that we think might cause this disorder?
So I want to say, the genetic factors first. If somebody has had BDD in your family, then like you have a higher chance of having BDD. So it might not be that the society that you've lived in was flawed, or like culturally was wrong, or you didn't have a good childhood, which could also be good reasons. But the reasons for BDD that you had could just be the fact that in your family BDD runs.
Yeah, another thing that a lot of people share is experience. I mean, outside of genetics, the rest of the year influence is environmental. So part of that is if you've been teased or bullied in the past for your appearance, that can very much contribute to BDD. And another thing that I really want to highlight is societal messages and media influence on BDD. So with social media nowadays, it's especially platforms where you're putting yourself on display, things like Instagram, where you're always posting about yourself, it becomes really easy to compare yourself to others. And if you have this idea of, needing to be perfect, then you might see other people's perfect lives or perfect images, which are often altered or digitally changed to some extent. That can put a lot of pressure on you to always compare yourself to that, and therefore start seeing flaws in yourself that may not be there or are not even flaws. But social media and its emphasis on how people look and sharing the way you look with increased use of filters and stuff. Filters are fine and fun to use, but if that becomes a basis on which you're comparing yourself to other people and saying they look better and I am flawed, then that's where social media can start to become a problem. And a quote that I found really nice from a TED Talk is the TED Talk was by a person called Scott Griffiths, and it talks about muscle dysmorphia, which is another form of body dysmorphia. That's more of the obsession of you want to be very muscular and you feel like you're always scrawny and you're always looking to gain more muscle. It's not for fitness, it's more that you just want to be muscular. So the quote is, as society puts increasing value on those aspects of physical appearance that can be modified through diet or exercise, whether it's body fat or muscle or some new combination, we create the environment in which eating disorders can exist, can flourish. I bring up eating disorders because that is correlated with body dysmorphic disorder as well.
No, what was he trying to say? I get the quote, but what was he trying to say in terms of the environment being a fuel for body dysmorphia in the general population?
So the way that I'm trying to use the quote here is whenever we're putting a lot of pressure on, certain body types being the ideal in magazines, social media, advertising, things like that. And we're putting a lot of pressure on how do people look and what makes them successful. And so whenever society puts a lot of value on the way you look, then we put pressure on people to go one way or another with what they consider to be flaws and what they do in an attempt to change those flaws.
I do have a question. With social media, someone who thinks they have a flaw, they can take out the flaw using a filter by either say slimming themselves or taking out the acne or whatever. So, but then somebody who might see it would then be like, hey, they look perfect. So. And you don't really see a lot of people in person, especially now in 2021 and 2020. So would you say social media has more negative effect or more positive effect?
Loaded question.
Yeah, there's a lot of I guess there's a lot of different aspects to that question. I don't know if I would choose one or the other. I would say social media does have more effect, period, on like how we perceive ourselves and how we communicate now. So you know, I think there's definitely more of an impact, and there's more of an emphasis placed on like how we view ourselves because of social media. But obviously there are positives to it as well, like being able to communicate. Like I recently deleted Instagram and I deleted a lot of my social media, and honestly, like I felt less connected to people because, you know, when you're on these apps, you're constantly engaging with people, you're constantly seeing people, even if it's not in person, and kind of that's the way we communicate now. So yeah, I would say there's different pros and cons, coming from a person who's been on and off social media quite a bit.
Okay, let me change my question a bit then. So if somebody does feel better by adding these filters, then like they are unconsciously sort of agreeing that they do have a flaw because they need to change. And is a statement that I'm making, would you accept that statement? Or would you say, no, I disagree? You know, it's like makeup. You know, like, if you want to do it, you do it. If not, you don't have to do it. You know, so where do you stand there?
Yeah, I'll take that first. So I heavily disagree with that because so Instagram, it doesn't exist in a vacuum, right? So it exists in the last, say, 15 years, and it's primarily used as a marketing tool and as a means of making revenue and as a means of promoting your product. And with the business aspect in mind, well, applying the filters is pretty much like placing your product on the first shelf in a supermarket. So the reason you want your shelf on the supermarket in the first shelf, or let's say in a supermarket they place the eggs or the milk in the last shelf because they want people to go all the way, buy the eggs and milk, and while on the way back they want people to buy stuff that they don't need. That's the whole concept behind supermarkets. And just like that, Instagram is a marketing tool. So you have to look at it from a business angle. From a business angle, filters make sense, right? So you want those perfect images for the product to be sold or the service to be sold. But there lies the caution that the teenagers or the developing minds and the people who are around these young kids, so the level of control or the level of freedom that they're willing to give is under, you know, the parents or the people around those kids who are developing. So that's what I'm trying to say. So it's not the fault of Instagram that body dysmorphia or body image negative issues are happening. It's going to happen regardless of Instagram. Some other app is going to take the place of Instagram. Doesn't matter. Instagram goes away, Facebook goes away, TikTok goes away, but the issues are still going to exist. That's because it's a human problem. So yeah, Instagram does affect, but it's a tool. There's no negative or positive attributes attached to Instagram, in my opinion.
I would say it depends on how much you identify with it. So if seeing that filtered image of yourself is like you identify with it so much that anything less than that, aka the way you look in real life, if you consider the touched up or filtered version to be better, it's going to create a lot of dissatisfaction of your own body image. You probably would see yourself as different if you're over identifying with the filter, right? So if you're using it and it's just like, haha, fun, likes, you know, jokes and whatnot, cool. But at the same time, if it can lead to more negative body image issues with people. And then it goes into a disconnect of how do you look online versus how do you look in person. And then that's where it could become an issue.
Okay, so we have talked a lot about the social media, and you know, like, but there is another angle. Like we've talked about the genetics, we've talked about social media, the cultural, environmental angle. Especially since we are all like Indians, you know, we probably should bring that in. So do you want to discuss that?
Yeah, I think we can talk about that tomorrow. I think that's a really great topic.
Oh, yeah, sounds good. See you then.
Oh, you're still here? Well, thanks for getting to the end of the video. Hey, while you're still here, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to get new updates when we post videos. Also, make sure to check out these equally exciting videos as well. Have you pressed it yet? Come on, you have 5 seconds left. 3, 2, press it now.